Hi everyone, I am Divya from degree 3rd year. Today we are going to discuss about police reforms in India. Under the Indian Constitution, policing is a state power, which means that state governments are responsible to provide their communities with the police service. For states, it is the state government, and for union territories, it is the national government. Why police reforms in India are required? Police have increasingly been seen as puppets in the hands of politicians in the few years out of greed or out of fear. Emergence of new crimes like cybercrime, counter-insurgency calls, or for technological upgradation of police system, we need police reforms in India. And also, there are many issues in registration of crimes, because heinous crimes go off recorded every year in order to promote the country by saying corruption free country. Most of the culprits are being rich and the victims being with a poor background. They are easily getting manipulated by showing the money or a bright future. So CBI demands for more police reforms in the country. There is a need to revisit the functioning of CBI and address the impending vacancy in the organization. While India dreams of being the net security provider in the region, overhaul of the police reforms is utmost necessity. As we know that police is belonging to the state list, so states have the full power to create any laws regarding the police. Few states have also passed their own state police acts besides others like Indian Penal Code IPC of 1862, Indian Evidence Act of 1872, and Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. Max Weber defined state as an organization which has a monopoly on the legitimate use of physical force. Coming to the historical background of police reforms. The first police commission was set up in the year 1857, soon after the mutiny. It was governed by the Indian Police Act IPA of 1861. It was directly drafted from the revolt of 1857. Due to the issues arised from the IPA 1861, A.H.L. Curzon committee was established in the year 1902 and 1903. It recommended the appointment of local people at the officer level in the police service. And Calcutta Cooperation System 1899, it increased the number of official members and decreased the number of elected members. Most of the official members belonged to Britishers. National Police Commission was appointed by the Government of India in the year 1977. It was appointed because the roles and functions of the police reforms should be made in a proper way, accountability and relations with the public, political interference in the work and misuse of powers, evaluation in its performance, all these are considered, and this commission has been established. And the head of the state police is considered to be the Director General of Police. He is assisted by several additional special DGPs. Niti Aayog suggested few reforms for police reforms. First, the state level legislative reforms. States should be encouraged with the fiscal incentives to introduce the Model Police Act of 2015. It modernizes the mandate of police. And the second one is administrative and operational reforms. Non-core functions can be handed over by private agencies or the other government departments so that the police can concentrate on the core functions. For example, passport applicants verification, job verification, serving the court summons, all these are taken care by policies now, but if they are given to the private agencies or the other government departments, policies can concentrate on the core functional parts. So a task force must be created under the Ministry of Home Affairs to identify non-core functions in order to reduce the workload of police. Representation of women in police service should be increased, said Niti Aayog reforms. India should launch a common nationwide contact for attending to the urgent security needs of the citizen. Niti Aayog also suggested moving public and police orders to the concurrent list to tackle the increasing interstate crime and terrorism under the unified framework. Here we can see that in the Constitution of India's 7th schedule, police comes under the state list. Here, Niti Aayog wants this under the concurrent list. You can also see that Supreme Court directives on police reforms. So there are few committees mentioned here under the police reforms. The first one is National Police Commission 1977 to 1981. This commission was established to study the problems of police and make a comprehensive review of police system at national level. Dharamveera was the chairman of National Police Commission in between the years 1977 to 1983. The second commission is Ribeiro Committee 1998, which was set up by the Supreme Court to examine if the National Police Commission's recommendations, which form the core of public litigation interest, were still relevant or that any modifications. And the third committee is Malimath Committee. Malimath Committee was named after V.S. Malimath, who was a Chief Justice of the states Kerala and Karnataka. He was asked by the government to suggest few improvements in the old criminal justice systems. So the main reason for Malimath Committee 2002 and 2003 establishment was to suggest the reforms in the criminal justice system. And the fourth committee is Prakash Singh Committee 2006. Supreme Court ordered that few reforms must be followed by both states and union territories by the 7 directives. These directives pull together the various strands of improvement generated since 1979. These 7 directives will be discussed in the further slides. And the fifth commission is Second ARC Commission 2007, which suggested, just like the Niti Aayog before, it also suggested the redistribution of non-core police reforms to the other government departments or private agencies, so that the police system can concentrate on the core functional values. Here, the non-core police functions are said to be traffic management, disaster rescue, and issuing court summons, etc. So the 7 directives in Prakash Singh case in a nutshell. First one is constitute a state security commission, and there should be the second one, there should be a fixed 2-year tenure for Director General of Police and 2-year terms for SPs and SHOs. Separate investigation and L&O functions. Set up police establishment board. Set up police complaints authorities at state and district levels for the convenience of public, and set up National Security Commission at central level. So these are the 7 directives of Supreme Court in Prakash Singh case. Here we can see the center and states with regard to the police. While state police maintains the public order, police presence, the center concentrates on protecting states from external and internal disturbances, deploying central police forces, institutes for intelligence, investigation, and police training, and both together criminal law and criminal procedure. Here we can see states that spend the most money spent on police per person. In Punjab, Haryana, and Telangana, it is above 1,000, and in Bihar, West Bengal, and Odisha, it is below 600. So these 3 states are considered to be the least spent on police per person, and Punjab, Haryana, Telangana are spending the most in the country on police per person. And here, the state with highest vacancy rates for SC officers are Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, and Bihar. For SC, it is Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, and Bihar, and for ST, it is Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. State with the highest vacancy rate for OBC officers: West Bengal, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. And also, the women's share is comparatively less when compared to the men in the country. Presence of women police across the states. First, the reason behind less participation of women in Indian police service are patriarchal prejudices. And in the country like India, women are considered unfit on the field works. Lack of basic infrastructure is also one of the most important reasons for women not willing to get into the police services. In India, according to the constitution, 33% of seats were reserved for women in police system, but still only 12% of women are police officers in the country today. And also less than 8.72% of the women officers are under the higher ranks. For example, gazetted officers. They're not being promoted or prioritized in the higher official ranks. So, coming to the India map, most of the women polices are from the state Tamil Nadu and least are from Himachal Pradesh and Jammu Kashmir. And the reservation for women is 0 in Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. So, a police woman in West Bengal is able to cover only 6,150 women in the public. United Nations recommends at least one police per person in 450 people, but in India that is not the case. For example, in West Bengal it is 6,150 people where there is one police women officer, and in Karnataka it is 4,570 women for one women officer. The suggestions to improve the policing system in India: limiting the political control. Political control is the one major thing which is changing entire police system. They are bribing or threatening the police officers in order to complete their willing work. Addressing women underrepresentation. Women should be encouraged to come into the police service. Appointment based on merit rather than appointing people by recommendations. Merit based appointments will give the better results in transparency and accountability of the governance. Fixing minimum tenure, separating police functions, establishment of police complaint authorities, improving the intelligence gathering, improvement of forensic infrastructure. Smart policing should be focused upon. Community policing can be promoted. Here are some of its key findings. What police personnel want. Top 2 steps that government must take to enable the police to do its job better. Increase staff or training of staff. Improve infrastructure facilities. Most of the women face trouble in these infrastructure facilities where finding a washroom is very difficult in the downtrodden sections of Indian society. So, women are not willing to get into the police service. Coming to the core principles of police reforms, it is authority, autonomy, accountability, independence of crime investigation and supremacy of elected government. Authority is the power or right to give orders and make people obey. Autonomy is self-directing freedom, especially the moral independence. Accountability is responsibility. Behavior and performance of an officer should be responsible. And independence of crime investigation. Apart from pressurizing higher authorities, the officer should be free to investigate in his own way according to the laws. Supremacy of elected government. Police officers should be bound to the elected government rather than being bribed or corrupted. So, these are the need for police reforms. Coming to the conclusion, police reforms need to be well equipped in terms of weaponry, communication and transport, and support to perform their role well in the country. And they also need to have operational freedom to carry out their responsibilities professionally and satisfactory working conditions while being held for poor performance or misuse of power. Female officers count should be increased for the public safety of women in the society. So here, police personnel's responses to each of the statements below. Being in the police requires physical strength and aggressive behavior which women lack. Women police are incapable of handling high intensity crimes and cases. Because of inflexible working hours, it is not alright for women to work in the police force as they cannot attend to the homely duties. Thank you.